Hey HealthFit, welcome to the episode filled with sugar and spice. Today, as usual, we will focus on some active and healthy lifestyle basics, squats and sweets. Now, how are sweets possibly healthy, you might ask? Well, they're not. But if you have proper squat form, you could very well earn them. Keep watching to find out more. Hey MTSU, this is where we'll be getting our spice in for today. We're at the rec center, the functional fitness room to be exact. So, squatting is a basic movement for our bodies, which puts an emphasis on our glutes and our hamstrings, quads, and so on. So, I am sure that probably 99% of the people who go to the gym do squats, and that is why today we'll be focusing on proper squat form and its many variations during our exercise segment. Now let's go ahead and get started with a basic squat. I will be using a barbell with light weights on it for all demonstrations. Before we get started, make sure that the height of the barbell is at a convenient place. A wider stance with the toes pointing outwards will help you achieve a deeper squat, but a shoulder-wide stance with the toes pointing forward will give you more range of motion. Place the barbell on your traps where you feel comfortable. Make sure your feet are directly under the weight as you lift it off the rack. Keep a narrow grip rather than a wide grip on the bar for better stability. Make sure to keep the back straight and lead with the hips as you lower yourself. Inhale before you lower and keep your core tight. Exhale when you come back up and repeat. Whew, and that was just the beginning. So next up, let's check out a couple of different variations. Squatting is essentially just sitting, and that's exactly what box squats are. Prepare a box at a convenient distance from you and you will follow the same steps as before, except this time you will sit on the box and then stand up. The box squat will allow you to achieve more depth if that's something you're working on. Second variation, let's go for some front squats. As the name implies, we will place the barbell at the front instead of the back. The front squat still targets the same muscle groups, however, it is easier on your back because the weight rests on the front of your body, mainly the shoulders and the chest. I'm afraid that that's all we had time for today, but you know what? I hope these demos were helpful for you in your squatting. If you have any questions for me or just generally curious about more squatting variations, feel free to reach out to me through our HealthFit page. Until then, happy squatting!
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
El que San Jude no cobra ni un centavo para nosotros significa quitarnos todo ese estrés, esa preocupación y podernos enfocar en nuestra hija.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When St. Jude told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow, they pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders. And now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
Today, we're going to sweeten things up in the Health Fit kitchen by conducting a small experiment. Don't get too excited. Before we get started, I do want to clarify that sugar in the form of sucrose, fructose, and glucose should be monitored because a high intake can lead to diabetes and obesity at most, and a cavity at the very least. So putting that aside, I like having cheat days once in a while, but if you're really trying to cut down on weight, consider also cutting sugar out of your diet and using a sweetener instead. And this is why we're having a sugar experiment, because understanding sugar substitutions will help you achieve a nutritious diet without making yourself crazy over sweets. Here I have 5 smoothies that are the same, peanut butter chocolate. However, each smoothie has a different sweetener in it. Come on, Alex. Alex will try each one and give us his feedback on the flavor differences. He doesn't know what sweetener is in each cup, so his answers will be totally authentic. Feel free to tell me if something's absolutely gross, all right?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Good, good. After, we will reveal the secret ingredient. Let's go ahead and get started with our number 1. Here you are.
All right.
Well, it's a smoothie. It's not wine, I promise.
Oh, that was actually
Good.
surprisingly like sweet.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, that is white table sugar, ladies and gentlemen. Now, sugar is also known as sucrose, highly processed. It is either used up by the body as energy after going through glycolysis and fructolysis, or is stored as fat for future use. Let's check on that second one.
It tastes like Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh.
Can you give a different description? How does it compare to the first one?
It tastes earthier than
Earthier. I like that. Earthy. Well, that's interesting because this is actually honey. Honey is a natural sugar made up of sucrose and fructose, also containing nutrients. If I do consume sugar, it's usually honey. In fact, honey has some great antibacterial properties which are very useful if you're having trouble with your throat, such as a cough. Usually a tablespoon is enough to give you instant relief. Next.
This one doesn't taste too different than the table sugar,
Okay.
but it's a lot thicker.
Thicker, okay, interesting. So not very different. Let's see what it is. Coconut sugar. Another sucrose with some nutrients. Not as processed as white sugar because it's made from the sap of palm trees.
I love
Next
a good
up.
coconut.
Oh. Well, so do I.
That's why we're healthy.
Exactly. Let's give it a try.
It's sweet, which I know it's sweetened. I earned my sweets. But I would say it's very light.
Light.
Very light.
Light. Let's see what it is. Splenda. Artificial sweetener such as Splenda has 0 calories. As appealing as it sounds, it has drawbacks. Splenda is made up of sucralose, which is a chemically modified sucrose molecule. Maltodextrin and dextrose, both maltodextrin and dextrose are simple sugars, but because of their amount per serving in Splenda, the sweetener is marketed as calorie-free, but you know, it actually does contain calories in higher amounts.
That's not splendid.
No, it is not. Pun intended, ladies and gentlemen. Last one, but not least.
It's very, can I take another sip?
Yes,
Am I allowed?
you may.
All right.
You may. You've earned it.
Yes! All right. That one tastes like mother's hot cocoa. It tastes very, very frothy and soft.
I'm curious to know, how do you compare it to the table sugar?
It's actually deeper than the table sugar, I would say.
Deeper. Sweeter? even?
In a way, yeah.
Okay, okay. Interesting. This is stevia, a natural sweetener. Stevia is probably my favorite sweetener because it is natural, as mentioned, and truly calorie-free. It works very well for me as a substitute. However, keep in mind that many stevia brands use sugar alcohols or dextrose as a preservative, which may not make the product 100% calorie-free. So now, which one would you say is your favorite?
Well, I would have to say I'm a stevia kind of gal.
Oh, wow. Okay, me too. And which one do you think, just flavor-wise, is the absolute worst?
I don't think any of them were terrible,
Okay.
but I probably would not sweeten with the honey myself.
Okay, okay.
But
Fair enough, and that is your perspective. and that
That's
is
just my
totally fine.
ideas.
Thank you so much. So, are you surprised by any of the results or differences? I mean, remember that everyone has a different taste palette, so yes?
Oh, I thought we were talking to the audience. But yes, I was pretty surprised about the stevia because you seem to think, oh, you think that's sweeter? And I was like, yeah, I do. It's sugar. It's great.
Yes.
But hearing that that was stevia, what one was this one again? I'm so sorry.
Coconut sugar.
That coconut was a definite surprise because I'm not a
Okay.
coconut kind of person.
Okay.
And I really like that one.
Good. Well, thank you, thank you. I highly encourage that you try different sugar substitutes and find something that you will enjoy without the health drawbacks. Thank you, Alex, for participating. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back shortly with our active updates. Woo!
Hey there, this is Active Updates with Mika Churfan, and I'm here to keep you updated on trending topics, new finds, and health info to support your healthy lifestyle. Today we have a pretty sweet topic to cover, and one you've probably received a lot of mixed messages about. So listen carefully while I tell you the truth about carbs. You should be happy to know that a lot of the negativity that surrounds carbs only stands true for a few dietary choices, such as processed foods like sweets and soda. In reality, your body loves carbs. They're the main source of energy for both your brain and your muscles. So if you live an active lifestyle, carbs become even more vital for your health and performance. The trick is knowing the right type, timing, and quantity of carbohydrates to optimize their benefits. Let's start with the type. The trick here is to stay away from carbs with a lot of added sugar, like white bread, pre-made soup, condiments, and even many products marketed as healthy, such as breakfast cereals, yogurt, protein bars, and instant oatmeal. Instead, look for products that have little to no added sugar, or an even better option is to go for natural sources like whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, because they not only sustain your energy for longer, but they will also give you added nutrients like vitamins, minerals, and water, which are extremely beneficial during exercise. Now let's talk about quantity. A general rule for carbs is to make them 45 to 65% of your calories every day. So, if you're on a 2,000 calorie diet, then carbs should account for 900 to 1,300 of those calories. But that's not for everyone. That's right, I'm talking to you athletes. Depending on an athlete's level of activity, they typically need more carbohydrates than the average person. For example, an athlete that trains for less than an hour a day won't need much extra, but an athlete who trains 1 to 3 hours a day will need between 6 to 10 grams of carbs for each kilogram of their body weight. While that may seem like a lot of carbs to consume in a day, if they're spaced out properly, your body will thank you. This is because your body relies on carbs stored in your muscles and liver, called glycogen, for most of its energy. And it just so happens that 2 ways to deplete your glycogen is through exercising and sleeping. This brings us to our last important point, timing. Carbs are most important in your breakfast, your pre-workout meal, and your post-workout meal. We'll explore the reasons for this later on in our pre- and post-workout episodes, but for now, you should know that having carbs at these times and in moderate quantities throughout the day will keep you consistently fueled for whatever activities are around the corner. Thanks for tuning in today to learn all about carbs. This has been Active Updates with Mika. I'll see you next time. Stay active.
Your Marine Corps' way of life is to defend the American way of life. Every day, we take a stand for our nation, for each other, for us all. The few the proud, the Marines.
Idle hands. They say they're the devil's workshop. But give idle hands a place to go, a purpose, and they're capable of amazing things.
From Iraq and Afghanistan, our brave warriors are coming home, wounded. Some with wounds you can see, some with wounds you can't see. Wounded Warrior Project was created to support our men and women coming off the battlefield. Please help carry these warriors the rest of the way home. Get involved at woundedwarriorproject.org.
It started with the original care package, and millions more like it. Passed from hand to hand, across land and sea, to help survivors in the aftermath of war. As we grew, we found better ways to help those in need. Ways to make a real difference, not just today, but tomorrow as well. Be the difference in people's lives. Help deliver lasting change at care.org.
Hello and welcome back. I found our last segment to be very intriguing, but honestly, I wish I had more information to share with you. Since sugar is a large part of our diets, mainly because we can't seem to avoid it, we've brought on two of MTSU's student nutritionist mentors to tell us more about how our bodies process sugar and how we can potentially control our sugar intake. Let's bring on Erin Harwell and Jericho Yates on stage. Hey guys.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for being here with us. I'm so excited to learn more about what you have to tell us on sugar. Go ahead and take a seat.
Thanks for having us.
So to begin this awesome topic, could you tell me more about your background in nutrition, how you got inspired into this kind of profession, and what really spiked your awareness with nutrition?
Absolutely. My name is Jericho. As you know, I'm a nutrition student here at MTSU. I'm a junior. I first was introduced to nutrition about 5 years ago when I found myself in a wheelchair, a little bit overweight.
Oh my goodness.
And I had a healthcare team that worked with me that includes a dietitian. She was able to teach me all about nutrition and how it could help me in my situation. The bottom of the line is I made a full recovery, got most of my mobility back, and
Nicely done.
I've lost quite a bit of weight and feel better than ever. And
Yeah,
that was
so
my start with it.
I assume that's a huge health impact,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And tell us about you, Erin.
Hi, so my name is Erin Harwell, and I'm a senior here at MTSU in the dietetics program. And I was first introduced with health probably when I was in the womb. My mom has always been a health guru, and
That's awesome.
everything that I've known ever since I was little is health, from drinking carrot juice to wheatgrass to all the different things, trying everything. And then about 5 years ago, I became personally involved in my own nutrition when I discovered a plant-based lifestyle, which is minimizing the consumption of high-fat foods like dairy and meat and processed foods and oils, and focusing my plate on plant-based foods such as all the whole grains, nuts, seeds, berries, everything like that. And I truly found nutrition to be powerful in my own life, and I just loved it ever since.
And how long did you say you've been doing this plant-based diet?
About 5 years.
5 years, wow. And you've stuck with it, and you know, no problem at all.
And well, the reason I stuck with it is because it changed my life. My allergies pretty much have gone away, like my congestion and my eczema I used to have all the time, and now that's like those symptoms have completely diminished. So I know that food is truly powerful.
Yes, for sure. So just out of curiosity, can you both tell me what would you say is your average sugar intake per day, let's say?
No problem. My average added sugar is anywhere between 25 and 30 grams.
Okay, and what about you, Erin?
Yeah, probably about the same. I have a sweet tooth, so it tends to, you know, that's a little difficult to keep that low, but I try to keep most of my sugars from like fructose and like fruits and vegetables and things like that, rather than consuming added sugars.
And of course, that's personal for you. What would you
Yes.
recommend for a client?
For a client, I would go ahead and recommend what the American Heart Association recommends. It's about 25 grams of added sugar per day
Okay.
for females and no more than 38 for males.
Yeah, so we actually brought in some sugar jars
look
here.
at that.
So a lot of people don't think about how much, they don't know what a gram looks like or a
Yes.
tablespoon looks like.
I was actually
the last
curious
one.
when you brought it up. I was like,
So
what does that look like?
this is about 48 grams, which is about how much most people eat in a day. And as Jericho said earlier, we're supposed to get about women 25, men 38. So this is about twice what women should eat. And so there's sugar in all kinds of foods that we don't even think about. So an example is instant oatmeal. So most people wouldn't think of oatmeal as being a food that's high in sugar. But instant oatmeal actually has about 12 grams of sugar. So that you see that right there.
Wow.
And
so that's like your maple flavor.
right, like a maple flavored, yeah,
Oh
of
my
course.
goodness.
Yeah. So
Okay.
and there's sugar in like biscuits and processed foods and everything.
Yeah.
And can you guess what this is?
No.
It's a Coke, a 12-ounce Coke.
Okay.
So that's 39 grams of sugar, which is how much?
Which is 1 gram over for a male.
Right. So that's more than
one soda.
one soda.
And
yeah.
the soda's
and
like
that's-
this much.
Anyone
you know?
want to
Can you
drink this?
imagine?
I mean, can you think? I mean, that's what we're drinking when we drink
Yeah,
soda, and that's
yeah.
actually more than
That's-
the American Heart Association recommends in a day.
In a day.
So how many could we drink of these?
A day. And
in
some
a
people,
meal, right?
Right,
So-
right. Some people just in a day, you know, they drink like 5 sodas. You know,
Right.
that's some people even drink it instead of water. You know, it's
course.
crazy. Okay, now this is all very interesting. Now that we know how much, you know, those grams are, what they look like, can you tell me what happens with the sugar in your body once it enters? Like you drink a can of soda, what happens next?
Yeah, no problem. Basically, whenever we consume sugar, our body very efficiently absorbs it, gets into our bloodstream, and from there it can go in a few different paths. It can be used as energy by our cells, or our body can store it away as glycogen for fuel later. And it can also convert it into fatty acid chains to be sent back out into your blood and stored in your adipose tissue.
Okay. So how does that relate to unhealthy conditions such as diabetes, obesity, and so on? Heart conditions?
Well, obesity is many different causes of obesity. Excess sugar is definitely one of the major causes. Basically, if you eat more calories than your body needs to burn, then it's going to be turned into adipose tissue.
Okay. Okay. So you heard that. Storage burns it off as energy, or it turns into, well, storage is adipose tissue. Okay. Now, what is it true? Is it true that sugar is addictive? Would you agree to that?
Yes. According to most research, sugar is very addictive. And the reason for that is because the chemicals in our brain that are released, one of them is dopamine. And that's a feel-good chemical. And so so you feel good, you want to eat more. So that's why we crave a candy bar, say at 3 o'clock, rather than a fiber-filled apple or piece of celery. Wouldn't that be nice if we all craved celery instead of
That would be
soda
pretty
and
awesome.
candy?
I know I don't. Oh my goodness. So, how can we avoid the added sugar in so many foods? I mean, I noticed just a can of tomatoes has sugar in it.
Right.
Bread has sugar in it. Foods that you don't expect to have sugar in them, they do. You know, and it might not be a lot, but once you eat that throughout the day, it adds up. It all adds up. So how can we really avoid that?
To avoid added sugars, we really need to educate ourselves on how to read nutrition labels, to be on the lookout for all the different forms of sugar, all your syrups, your canes, anything that ends with the OSE, like your sucrose, fructose, things like that.
Yeah, and another way, a trick to reading our nutrition labels is looking at the list of ingredients and how they're listed, and not just what's in there. But so if an ingredient is closer to the front of the ingredient list, that means that there's more of that ingredient in the product by weight.
Okay.
So if you had 1 can of,
That's really interesting.
yeah, if you had 1 can of jelly that had sugar as the first ingredient versus comparing it to another one in the grocery store that was the 5th or 6th, you want to choose the one that has the 5th or 6th because that means it has less sugar in it by weight.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. You know, my mother always makes fun of me when we go to the grocery store and we shop, and I'm always just like looking at the labels, and she's like, "Oh, you take too much time." I'm like, "This is important. I want to know what's in my food." So I strongly encourage that for sure. Now, I understand. I mean, I have cravings for sweets. I'm sure you probably do once in a while. We're only human. So what kind of sugar alternatives are out there that we can reach for so that we don't, you know, end up eating all of this sugar?
Right. One of the tricks that I like to use when I have cravings, they are very natural. I have them at late nights too. Is along with like an apple or something, I like to include some caramel or peanut butter or something like that. That way I can get something sweet and along with it get something that has still its nutrient values, fiber, and still have some sweet for my cravings.
Okay, and you get a little bit of protein in that peanut butter too.
Yeah.
Just be careful because it also has fat in it. So to top this awesome interview off, is sugar bad for you?
No, sugar is not bad for you. Like all things in life, as long as you do it in moderation and responsibly, it can be just a great part of a healthy diet.
Yes, control.
Yes.
Thank
Key
you so
is
much.
getting in that fiber. So we always want to get lots of fibrous foods and whole foods. So focus on those whole foods and allow yourself a little bit of fun foods too.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your information, what you've been able to provide for us. To everyone watching, thank you again for tuning in. This week, I challenge you to do as many squats as possible every day and pay attention to all the sugar that may sneak its way into your healthy meals. You can catch up with us on Facebook at The Health Fit Show. I'm Joanna, and we're Health Fit. Stay active.